Hi, my name's Michael Yon, and welcome to The Power of Imagination, an interview with Roman Harrenbuehler, better known as Kuntarkis. Now, before we go on, Kuntarkis, some people may not have heard our earlier episodes and may not be sure. Can I just ask, am I doing a podcast with an alien?
Yes, that's very unique way of putting it, Michael. Let me just say this. Everyone on Earth is an alien to some degree, whether it's 2% or 100%. 928,000 years ago, that's where it began. The locals, known as Neanderthals, existed and were very happily doing their evolution. What's interesting is the 87,000 Nicarons that were placed here were very naughty people. They were restless, aggressive, thieves, some murderers, the ones that didn't want to change on Nicaris. So they were placed here to learn. This planet was discovered by the Nicarons nearly 1,000,000 years ago. So what you have today is humanity as Nicarons with a touch of Neanderthal. So yes, I am an alien, extraterrestrial, from the planet Nicaris. But in fact, so is humanity.
I see. And the difference with you is that you know it, like you remember your past lives on Nicaris.
I'm very fortunate as a being, Michael. I came here on the 29th, as you are very well aware, of August 1969. And I'm a walk-in. I have now owned the body for a very long time. And the karma that once existed is now completed. The original recipient has moved on, and from what I have been told, he is born into a human body in Russia. Yeah, so that's very interesting, isn't it, how one moves on?
Yeah, for sure. And so at what age in your body did you realize my name isn't Roman, my name is Kuntarkis? Was it right when you walked in?
No, no, it would have been about 11 years in total. I always felt after that there was something about me that I didn't fully understand because I suddenly started to have so many more unusual experiences in my dream time. I'd be dreaming about other worlds so much, talking to people that I knew but looked so different to me. Even Nicarons, I remember talking to this very tall man, and I realized later on in my existence as I became more aware, it was a Nicaron. So yes, it took about 11 years, and once that occurred, I started to have strange feelings of expressing a language. And little by little over the years, the language became very prominent. Now, I speak total Sanskrit, which is a universal language.
Wow, that's cool. And now you are Kuntarkis.
That is true.
Well, Kuntarkis, let me start with my first question. This is on the power of imagination. Why call this podcast The Power of Imagination?
Well, as you heard me say many times, imagination is our greatest gift, and I don't say that too lightly. We look at the word imagination, and we believe if we imagine something, we can have fun with it, or we can play with it, or maybe we can do something else with it. What I discovered was imagination is a word, but it has an energy. And if we allow ourselves to grow in thought consciousness, we begin to realize the things we imagine. And if we really truly believe, we actually can bring that into our existence as a physical being. But we don't stop there. We can go one step further and realize that everything in this universe comes from a substance called living energy. Living energy has been around for trillions of billions of years in existence. But if we learn to harness that living energy, we can use it to manifest directly from living energy into physical reality, and it can become solid. Most people would believe that is totally impossible. If you can't feel it, taste it, smell it, it doesn't exist. Yet, Michael, there are worlds right within humanity's planet Earth. There are worlds right next door to us, evolving, just like we are. There may even be other beings like us saying exactly the same thing, that there are multi-dimensional worlds. So everything is manifested from living energy. And energy itself is a frequency. And everything evolves around something that is called a frequency. It vibrates at a particular frequency. Just like living energy, just like human beings.
I see. And it's resonance and kind of magnetic, isn't it? If you focus on something, it naturally is drawn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drawn to you. That's right. In other words, you are magnetic energy, because that's what living energy is.
Yeah, like attracts like.
Absolutely. And the more we believe in imagination, the more of that reality comes into existence.
Wow. Do you feel that people here on Earth fully understand the reality of the word imagination?
From what I've sensed, I think many do, but I think many don't. You know, when many people were, say, when they were little, like, 2 years old, 3 years old, as a child, children used to see imaginary friends, little spirits, maybe little elementals of nature. When they turned around 4, their parents became a little bit more concerned that they were always talking to someone that wasn't there, even by name. Now, because parents don't see them, not many anyway, they say they don't exist. That's just your imagination, Johnny. They're not real. Daddy's telling you. Daddy knows what he's talking about. Mummy also knows what she's talking about. So the child believes their mama and dada. And they go and say to the little elemental or the little spirit, "Go away, you don't exist. You're only in my imagination." That's how we see the word imagination. We don't grasp that imagination can become physical reality.
Wow, yeah. What can a person do to help themselves to understand the real meaning of imagination?
Meditation. One thing especially not to do, don't try to use imagination through logical thinking. Logical thinking is only created by the human brain. The mind is separate from the brain. It has no connection to it whatsoever. The mind is like the seeker, the reality of your outer self, and directly connected to your soul. That's where imagination comes into play. It's like saying, if you are a thought-conscious being and you connect with your mind through your imagination, and by truly believing, you can create anything. Just by expressing those words over and over and over again, every day of your life, you will find that you must bring it into reality eventually. That's why I always say imagination is everything, and everything is imagination.
Yeah, for sure. So what you're saying is not to use logical thinking. Could you please elaborate a little deeper on that?
Logical thinking is only a part of the human brain. It's your beliefs, your conditioning. It's your experiences of life. It's your parents' DNA that has been inserted within cellular structure. And cellular structure is only in the human brain and the human body, not in your mind. Your mind is pure energy, but it holds everything. It will give you all the knowledge you seek, but you have to grow through thought consciousness beyond logic to obtain that awareness of what your mind is giving you. Logic has a purpose always. I would never say, or I would never be against it, but logic can only take you so far. If you want to be a creative person, you don't think logically. You think creative.
I've heard you say on many occasions about coming from the heart, not from the human brain. Would you mind explaining the difference between coming from the heart versus coming from the brain?
That's a beautiful question. I really love that. The heart is everything. The heart has more capacity of data when it comes to holding information than the human brain. Now, what's really interesting is science has already proven this, which is great. The heart is the center to your mind and your mind to your soul. But the brain, again, is simply an organ that holds memory. Yes, it has different areas of capacity to take in different forms of experiences and different forms of knowledge. But the brain itself is run by human ego, and it is very fearful of the unknown. It doesn't have the capacity to understand change. The mind, it's willing to change every single moment of its existence because it wants to experience new things. That's why the soul gives the mind all the knowledge it seeks, and it passes it directly at the speed of light to the brain. Now, you hurt your finger, for instance. Say you hit it with a hammer, and you instantly feel this massive pain. Naturally, you think that the message from the brain tells you that your finger is paining because you hit it with a hammer. It's not. It's the mind that sends the information to the brain, and the brain then sends the information to your finger that you've slammed your finger with a hammer at the speed of light. So it's the mind that holds all. But the brain has the capacity to expand in its own form of consciousness if it's allowing itself to open up and listen. We have to teach it.
I see. So the brain, and therefore the ego and the logic, each step along the way, they have to be like leveled up because they fear change, because it's always going to fear change, isn't it?
That's right.
So really you just are always teaching it and moving it to a higher level and saying, look, you're safe here as well.
Absolutely. And one of the best ways to actually teach the human brain is affirmations. If you say to yourself, I am beyond the brain, or I accept all things, even that in itself is teaching. It's what you really express that's important. But if you say it long enough, it becomes your reality. If you say, for instance, as negative, like, I am a horrible person, every day I am a horrible person, and you keep saying it, you will become a horrible person. That is a natural fact. But if you say, hang on, I am a loving person. I love who I am and I love everyone else. I am a loving person. And you keep telling yourself that, you must become a loving person. Words are powerful. It's how we express it. And we need to learn to express, no matter what we're feeling emotionally, in love. I said to my wife this morning, my darling, I said, I wanted to say this. I love you in every breath of my existence. In every breath I take, I love you. That is a positive thing because you're feeling it and the person you're expressing it to is also feeling it. And you're coming from the same space of love. But when you constantly come from logic, which is emotion, then everything seems to get pretty miserable, I should say.
Sure. Hey, I'm a little curious about the heart chakra. From what I was taught by others in the past about lining up the balance of each chakra center, they always started from what is called the base chakra, which is, to my understanding, at the bottom, being the first chakra. And from there, you work your way up to the seventh chakra, which is called the crown chakra, on top of the head. My question is, you, Kuntarkis, have always said, begin from the center of your being, which is the heart chakra. Could you please elaborate by explaining why you always start from the heart chakra?
Yes. There is a common cause amongst all healers and teachers. They always seem to teach, I've noticed, from the bottom up. They go from the base chakra all the way up to the top of the head to cleanse themselves. I'm not saying they're right, I'm not saying they're wrong. What I have discovered and what I have been taught by beings from Nakaris well over 2 million years ago, you always start with your heart because the heart is the center of goodness. And when you fill your heart with the light, because you are light, you send it all the way down to your base chakra, then all the way down to your toes. Then from your heart again, you send it all the way up through your throat chakra, through your third eye chakra, up to your crown chakra and beyond. You enclose yourself then in pure white light. That is the correct way of doing it first, to cleanse. Because what is at the base chakra is emotion. Nothing but negative emotion. That's why people expand badly around that area and put on weight, because they're carrying all this negative emotion that they've experienced, whether it's before they were born, well after they were born. And it seems to haunt them until the last breath of their physical life. Cleansing from that low chakra upwards, you're pushing all that negative energy up into your heart. If you want to dissolve that negative energy, you go from the heart with pure light all the way down, cleansing and cleaning, vaporizing all the negative past and letting it go into the nothingness, never to return. And if you speak like that to yourself from the heart, what you'll find is you'll become lighter. You'll feel more pleasant. You'll feel more happy because you're not bringing up your negative energies. And then you work from the heart all the way up to the top of the head, to the head and beyond. That's why.
Oh, that was a really interesting answer, Kuntarkis. Thank you. Also, just for the listening audience, would you mind naming the main 7 chakras?
Yes, sure. Okay, number 1, base chakra. Number 2, spleen chakra. Number 3, solar plex chakra. Number 4, heart chakra. Number 5, throat chakra. Number 6, third eye chakra. Number 7, crown chakra. There is another 2, Michael, that most do not mention. Number 8, your connection to your mind chakra. And number 9, your soul chakra and beyond. And I mean beyond. Just imagine this. When a human individual balances the 7 main chakras, they will have an inner knowing that there is more. When the human being is ready in their own thought consciousness, they will seek a deeper, a higher knowledge to step beyond their current level of understanding, by going beyond the known into the unknown, and truly experience the reality of their imagination. And then they begin their true journey. That is experiencing that every thought conscious being throughout every universe will eventually occur. That is true evolution.
Wow, that is breathtaking. Thank you for giving that description, Kuntarkis. At this point, I wish to say to the audience that are listening to this podcast on the power of imagination, in Kuntarkis's books, he often mentions his own phrase, imagination is our greatest gift, especially in the book called The Book of Knowledge, I Am Alien, which, by the way, is a must to read, all 1,100 pages, as well as his current Who would write a book with 1,100 pages? Who would do that?
Kuntarkis.
And then The Dream Assassin Volume 1 with 752 pages.
Yes, that's a lot.
Yeah. It wasn't. I got less muscly with that one. It was a little lighter. I want the audience to understand why you repeat that phrase so much. The phrase, imagination is our greatest gift.
Well, one thing first. When you said about the Book of Knowledge, I Am Alien, it has 1,100 pages, and who would actually write a book like that? Well, at that time, I wrote that book over 10 to 12 years, piece by piece. And what's really interesting is I had no idea that it would be 1,100 pages. I honestly thought it was around 600 pages, 650.
Wow.
And when it was all compiled together, I compiled it, and they printed it. It quite shocked me. So, yeah, 1,100 pages.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, that's why I could only bring it out in soft cover, because over 1,000 pages, they can't do hard cover.
Ah.
Yeah. But there is a blessing. I do intend in the future with my wife to actually split the book in two and put 2 books into a little box folder and sell it as a special.
Good. That sounds good. Yeah.
That will happen in the future, yes. That's when I actually find a real traditional publisher, not to self-publish.
Yeah, a real publisher that wants to publish for you. We spoke about this. Self-publishing is not easy, is it?
No, it's a very hard road, actually. It can cost you a lot of physical money. Yes, very true. Okay. First of all, if you want to create or manifest a certain reality in your human life, well, we each have to change certain habits in our existence as human beings. One of them, which is the main one, change our thinking, and it will change our life. As I have stated many times before, we are thought-conscious beings on this planet Earth. We as humans are the only ones who are able to have thought consciousness. We are the only ones who have the ability to understand free will, which simply means we personally are fully responsible for every thought or action, be it positive or negative, we each experience and create throughout our present incarnation, as well as our past lives that all of us have had on the wheel of life, meaning reincarnation. So I suppose to sum it up, it doesn't matter if we believe or not in reincarnation. We all create positive and negative karma, and all must be learnt, forgiven in unconditional love, and learning to let go and move on to new life experiences. I've always believed imagination plays a big part in all of that. That's why we have free will. That's why imagination is our greatest gift. And the best part, it is the only thing that can set each of us free from our own self-created illusionary misery. And I'll be very honest there, Michael. I believe if we asked every single human being on this planet one by one, I guarantee 80% of humanity would agree that they live in some form of misery.
Sure. Wow. So, I mean, speaking of techniques, I guess, for using imagination, my next question is, in your understanding, would you say that meditation is vital in using the power of imagination, like to change one's life circumstances, be it positive or negative?
Through my own experience of human life, I would have to answer from my heart, yes, absolutely. When I first came into this human body, just before Roman's 18th birthday, I had a lot of karma that belonged to the body of Roman that needed to be balanced out. And it did take many years of new experiences to become fully conscious of my own existence, of my own life as Kuntarkis. And yes, there was negative and positive karma. But one thing I did have in my own awareness was imagination, as it was a part of my conscious memory that was present in my own cellular structure. That in truth was my own savior. Now meditation was a part of my life as it was with Roman. He began a class in martial arts which included a form of meditation at a very young age, which was a blessing to me as being already in his memory bank. Personally, I have been doing meditations for 51 years, teaching meditation for around 42 years.
Wow, that's a long time. Do you still teach meditation?
I don't teach meditation like I used to, and I actually really enjoyed it, and I look forward to actually doing it again. I believe, Michael, I have put lots of my moments, my time into my books, and especially my family at present. I have never stopped my own form of meditation, nor my own personal affirmations, which are a must for self-motivation and self-empowerment, through the use of my imagination. One of the things I have to add to this, imagination is so simple. You can meditate while you're working, just by the thought of your own mind, just by stilling your mind. You can meditate even while you're driving with your eyes open, being fully aware that you are driving a vehicle, but using your imagination to find peace, to find balance in your own thoughts, to stop that chatter that is constantly confusing us, which causes us lots of stress. That's why I use imagination, even right now while I am doing this.
How are you using it right now while we're recording?
Okay. I rarely ever use my human brain. I know it's used as memory, but I have learnt through a special technique that I learned back in 1988 when I cured my own terrible experience that I'll talk about in another podcast. And I discovered that imagination is anything you want it to be. You just have to imagine anything, and it can become your reality. But I will say this: be very, very aware and careful if you believe you are using your imagination in a negative way, because it will come back on you as a karmic thing, pretty heavy. But on the other hand, if you use your imagination for a very positive thing, whether it's on yourself or others, then it will come back to you in a total positive way, which is great for your karma.
Can we have some examples of literal imagery that could be used for different forms of changing life? For instance, a person who's overweight, can they imagine themselves much thinner and seeing themselves in their mind as much thinner? Is that?
Okay, yes, you're right. That's perfect. Imagine this. You have really low self-esteem, low self-worth. You were taught by your father or your mother and by society that you are useless. And from a young child, you grew up believing that. You've had other people bully you because you have no strength within yourself to say, don't do that. What happens, that emotion will create a belief system, a condition, and you will use physical things like drugs, alcohol, bad food, even damage yourself emotionally because you end up hating yourself. And you end up using your imagination in such a negative way, and you don't even know you're doing it until someone actually points it out and says, okay, you spent 22 years doing this negatively. We have to reverse it. Look at all the weight you've put on. That's emotion. That's all it is. Or it's emotion with bad genetics from your parents because they were in the same situation and they've passed those negative emotions through the blood, the DNA, onto you. And this is what you're becoming. You can change this 100% just by changing your thinking, as I said before, and it will help, and eventually it will change your life if you really have the right mindset to do it. Instead of using a negative thought that creates from imagination, use a positive one. Look in the mirror. Don't look at what you're seeing. Use your imagination. That's a gift. And see yourself as this powerful, strong human being. And say these words and mean it from your heart. Put your hands on your heart and say, I love who I am, and I am worthy of all things. I am a beautiful human being, and I have so much to give. I am love, and all that I express is love. And I look at myself in the mirror, and I see a perfect body. If you say things like that to yourself in a positive way by using your greatest gift, imagination, you will find over time it will change. And you won't eat the bad food. You won't drink the ugly alcohol. You won't smoke the ugly drugs. And you'll beat that habit. But you have to realize it's only your emotions of your experiences that has caused this minor problem. But it can be changed. And that's why, Michael, I use your greatest gift, imagination. And if you put self-motivation, self-empowerment through your imagination, it must come into balance.
Oh, awesome. I want to just ask again about being specific with imagery, because some people can be, they can, I know that sports like Olympians and such, they'll really visualize going down that ski slope every single turn. That's imagination. Is that something that can be used, or that you use, being really specific with your imagery?
Absolutely. When I train, exercise, I see myself in perfect form. I mean, at my so-called physical age, which I don't believe in age, I'm nearly physically 70, but that's just a load of rubbish. We are taught to live by birthdays. That's rubbish. Absolute rubbish. If we live by birthdays, we grow old to birthdays, and that's the honest truth. If we are told by these so-called professional people that, oh, you can't hear, or you can't walk, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, you're getting old. If you believe that, that's what you'll become. But if you say, hang on, I actually feel really young inside. I just need to get the right mindset and imagine that I can walk, that I can run, that I can exercise, and I can close my eyes and I can see myself running down that road, getting faster and faster and faster, and I can feel my heart beating. If you do that every day, you will end up being that person. It doesn't matter what you visualize. If you visualize that you can lift a car, if you believe that, and if you do it over and over and over again in your visualization that you've already lifted that car, you will do the exercise to build your strength and you will lift that car. That's the power of imagination, because we are powerful beings, but we have literally disconnected ourselves from that understanding. I said to you once before, my human body is stronger than it was when I was 30. I have a stronger will, a stronger motivation now, even though I falter, but I don't last very long in that falter. I get up and do it again. Plus I got my wife. She tells me I can and I can and I can, so I go and do it. So she's my great motivator and I'm her great motivator. We have to learn to listen, not to the negatives. We need to learn to listen to our heart that knows the truth, the positive things. So visualize as much as you want in a positive way and do it every day. Don't ever let anyone override you, because you're the only power in your life. You're the only power that can change your life. Beings like me only guide you. I give you the instrument, the knowledge to do it. It's like I'm a team builder. I can build up anyone. I can build up a team. But they have to have the power of doing what I'm giving.
I have one more thing to ask you, Kuntarkis. Could you recommend to the listeners, is there any particular form of meditation that you would recommend? And also, with affirmations, what kind would be the best to start with?
Yes, there is, Michael. I developed a unique form of meditation back in around 1988 when I was going through one of the most challenging experiences of my existence here on Earth.
Oh, can I cut in there? For me and the listeners, what was this experience?
I would, under normal circumstances, explain the entire event, but I feel it would be more suited when we do the podcast on human disease in the near future. As I was saying, you and I have discussed about doing a special on the power of meditation and have it put on podcasts, so the listeners will become aware this will be done in the next month or two. I personally would always recommend a meditation called the Stilling of the Mind, which can be done in the privacy of your own home. Well, either sitting in a chair or lay down on the bed or carpeted floor. Simply lay there without any form of expectation. First, one would, from their heart center, allow an energy flow of white light to emanate all the way down to their toes. Then allow the energy of white light to flow from the heart all the way up to the top of the head. As this is happening, through your greatest gift, imagination, breathe deeply 3 to 4 times in and exhale as deeply as possible on each exhale, then relax, breathing normally. In your imagination, feel this energy of white light pouring from inside outwardly through the pores of your skin, surrounding your whole body around 2 meters in diameter. Then relax in the stillness of your mind. As each thought, which is your human logic coming from your brain, just say in your mindset, next. And each time a thought becomes present, say the same word, next. What you will discover over time, the chatter in your human brain will stop, and you will have achieved what is called the stillness of the mind, and where you will discover your true self, your soul. That's where you can ask any questions you desire and receive an answer. Yes, it takes time and practice, but I promise you, that's where the magic of life begins, because magic is real, just like the breath you breathe in every moment of every breath. And with the affirmations, it would be best to read my book called The Book of Knowledge I Am Alien, as it has a section on affirmations, around 80 if my mind serves me right. Just pick one that feels right for you. That's the best thing to do. Just type in on the internet who is Roman Harimbura or Kuntarkis, spelt Kuntarkis, and go from there.
Excellent. Thanks so much for sharing that. Yeah, is that a practice we could do for, say, 10 to 20 minutes every day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You could actually, what I've written there, you could actually do that and use your imagination and say, put your own voice to it and record it and add to it. Add what you want from life. Add what you want to achieve. I want to make my body stronger. I want to heal my eyes. My vision at the moment is not brilliant. I want to make my vision 100%. My hearing, I need to improve it. So imagine that when you listen, you can hear things that you've never heard before.
It also actually keeps you concentrated.
Absolutely. People must realize that what you put into something, you get back. If you put the time and energy into loving yourself, you become a loving being. If you put the energy into hating yourself, what you get back is hate. Energy is unbiased. It's there. It's our free will to use it in any way we choose. And the problem with us as a species, we have lived so many incarnations over the last 928,000 years that we now have created beliefs and conditioning. And we keep every lifetime, we use the same beliefs and conditioning. It's like a wheel going around repeating itself over and over and over again. And we don't know how to get off it because we don't know we're doing it. That's the sad part, Michael. And we need to stop and really think how we speak, how we react in society, how we react to our partners, our children. And sometimes even I falter with my own son who's 4. And I got to keep pulling myself up and realize that he's a growing being. He's learning just as much as I'm learning. In fact, no one ever stops learning. My father, Kuntarkis, who's billions of years old, is still learning today. And what he can do is unbelievable. He can create a planet in a day where it took Earth several billion years of its natural process. And what my father, Kuntarkis, is teaching, that we can utilize this substance called living energy. And if we develop a higher thought consciousness, and through our mind connected to our imagination and truly believing, we can manifest from that energy into physical reality. And I know 100% that is why I wrote The Dream Assassin, Volume 1, and put all of that into it, and putting a lot more into Volume 2 and eventually Volume 3. Because I'm just trying to share with humanity the power of imagination.
Well, Kuntarkis, any final thoughts on the power of imagination?
Let me say this. Barina Haishi, lanuna saka, balmu talativa, ekoisha hashihu, nemi salu ariya hala. What I just said, the power of imagination connects us to everything. And if we believe that everything has a purpose, then we must believe in imagination. I would like to see people step out of their norm, their present level of understanding. I would like to challenge people to step beyond their thinking, to open their hearts and their minds to the possibility that there are those on this planet that come from other worlds to help them, to share knowledge, to share love, to share understanding.
Wow.
That's all I'd like to say.
Well, thank you so much, Kuntarkis.
You're very welcome.
This concludes the power of imagination. If you have a question, a comment, or even a suggestion, we'd love to hear from you. Send them through to kuntarkis@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. My name is Michael Yon. Stay tuned for more.